For those who joined during the session, it's okay
Yeah.
because
Okay.
we
So,
still have the recording, so all good.
all right. I suppose I'll start with like a quick introduction. My name is Faith, and I am from LD, Kenya. And at the moment, I live in London in the UK. So I am going to spend the next 10 minutes, maybe 15 at most, to just share my data story so far. And in the process, just highlight how the Tableau community, but the data community overall has impacted me so far. And then after that, I'll leave the rest of the time for questions.
Okay.
So again, I'm just going to share my story over the last 2 years or so, just highlighting the impact of the community. And I wanted to start from just early on, growing up. I was thinking about as a kid, often adults will ask you, what would you like to do when you grow up? And I think, like most of us, my answer changed almost every week. Um, but I remember what stuck the most, or maybe for the longest, was I really wanted to be an architect. I didn't end up going that route. But now, just looking back on it, I think what I've ended up in, that is data visualizations, it has um, the similarities to architecture in the sense that it combines um, fields of work that are very quantitative and very mathematical with things that are kind of artistic and design based. And I feel like data visualization sits in this intersection between um, these two fields, or some people will say even like it's different parts of the brain, right? Um, so that's what I have found to be just really rewarding. When I was younger, I didn't take any particular, say, art classes until later on in university. But I remember in high school, um, I think for most of us who went to Kenyan high schools that were sex segregated, we would write a lot of letters to people in other schools. And I was one of the people would come to for like calligraphy artwork on the envelope. And I really, really enjoyed just the creativity of that. And again, mathematics, physics, any of the quantitative sciences were like my favorite. So just thinking back to that time, I feel like it makes sense that I'm finding this particular field just especially rewarding, and I like just coming into it. So my data journey, or my Tableau journey, specifically started in 2023. Right before that, I had been working as a product manager in a large nonprofit. And in this role, I was helping lead the building of a digital product. One component of the product was some kind of data analysis and data visualization for the end user. And I remember really enjoying thinking about how that data comes in, how it's presented, how it's designed. But I didn't have any opportunity to kind of get hands on in the role because I was more of the product manager, product owner. I would have to give instructions to the engineers who would build that product, and then it would be a back and forth kind of iterative process. But I remember feeling like I really want to know how to create these things. I want to have a bit more control. So toward the end of that role, I wasn't entirely sure where I wanted to go next. And I was also feeling really just burnt out and a bit tired. So I thought to just pause and take a break. So I left and took a 1 year sabbatical. And when I went into the sabbatical, I was thinking about this kind of um, upcoming interest in data visualization as something I'd want to explore on my own, see if it's something I want to pursue further. So 2023 was that year when I was on sabbatical. During that year, I found Tableau somewhere online, and I remember I remember it feeling really easy to just download the product and just get started building things. And at around the same time, I discovered about the Information Lab, which is a company based in London, but they have offices in a few other countries as well. One of the things they offer is just free online training, particularly for Tableau, but other BI tools and also like other data preparation tools. So like Alteryx and Snowflake. So I attended a few of those trainings, and in a very short time, I felt like I was picking up skills to just start analyzing and visualizing data on my own. So I was thinking about what questions do I have? Like what things do I want to find out? And I just started finding the data for it and visualizing it. So at some point, I was thinking, so I like to read. I read a lot. I was thinking, are there any particular trends in the books I've read over the past 10 years? So I was able to get my data from Goodreads and just look at what that looks like. At some point, I was also thinking a good number of my friends have their birthdays in September. Is that something that is a wider trend? Is it a very common birthday month around the world? What about in the UK specifically? So I got some data for that and found out that indeed September is the most common birthday. I think um, mostly in the northern hemisphere, and I even found like the exact most common birth date. So that was really just fun to go from I have this question I'm curious about, finding data for it, and then finding the answer. Another question I explored at the time, as an example, was thinking about sunshine. So I had just moved to London 2 years before, and just surprised by how little sunshine the city gets. And I was curious how it compares to like other cities around the world. And yeah, looking into the data, I did confirm that we get a very small amount of sunshine. But it was just nice to just compare and see that kind of question validated in the data. So in the just early days of exploring this new field, I realized that one of the things I really enjoyed is finding this connection between like the visual metaphor, or like how I make choices about how to represent the data and the topic of the data. So in the previous example with sunshine, I thought because the topic is sunshine, I'd want a chart choice that kind of looks like the sun. That's why I chose these radial bar graphs. Later on, I was working on a project about reading. Specifically, I was looking into whether the like advancement of technology is affecting how often we read. And I was looking at like historical data, so how much people read in the past compared to now. And I thought it would be really interesting to kind of use that topic of reading in the past versus now to um, like as the medium for the data visualization. I'm just gonna come out of the big screen for a second and talk a bit more about how I approach this. For this particular project about exploring reading trends, I was also thinking about um, like data visualization as a technology, as a tool that allows you to process a lot of information very quickly. So I thought to use the medium of the visualization to also communicate that. And I wanted to just quickly show how this turned out. 1 second, it's loading on Tableau. So because I was looking at reading trends in the past, I wanted to use like a canvas that kind of evokes that feeling of reading, on a very old piece of parchment, and have the charts kind of embedded in that. So this first version of the visualization is just a summary of the trends I was finding. But I had another version, um, where you can go into the pros, and this represents a much, a time when we didn't have the technology of data visualization or our phones. So you'd have to read these insights in much longer form. It is a lot harder to get like the same information, but this is a kind of long form version of the same insights that I just thought it'd be fun to do both versions. And I also included kind of a very tech heavy version of it, which is what if the insights were just summarized in a Twitter thread? So it's like 6 tweets that you just read and find out. So this is something I found really rewarding in the process of just finding data I was enjoying and visualizing it. Fast forward to later that year, I found out about the Data Visualization Society, which is a global organization that run a lot of programs for just people in data. It's completely tool agnostic, so you don't have to be, an expert in a particular tool. The topic is like data overall. And one of my first involvements with this organization was the Outlier Conference. This is a conference that happens every year. It's usually, I'm just checking the clock, it's usually in different cities. This past year, it was in Miami. The year before, it was in Porto, actually, Mary. It was in Porto, Portugal. And they have an online version as well, so you can attend some of the sessions virtually. I attended some of the virtual sessions, and I found it just mind blowing because um, the beauty of such conferences is you get exposed to people working like at the very frontier, like at the edge. They're um, kind of discovering new ways of visualizing data and presenting information. And I usually find these things just really inspirational. There's a lot of things I have seen in such conferences that I had just not encountered before, and they often fuel me with new motivation. So this is one of the things that the Data Visualization Society does. Another thing is they run a mentorship program. It's a short-term program. It's only 3 months long, which is great because it allows you to set a very specific and achievable goal that you can work with your mentor on. So I signed up for this in 2023, and I was paired up with a fantastic mentor. We're actually still friends to date, but we worked together quite intensively for 3 months. And my goal at the time was to get into the information lab. So they run the data school, which is the training arm of the company. And to apply to get in, what you need to do is find data that you're interested in, analyze it and visualize it, and submit it as your application. So I wanted to use the mentorship program to help me kind of prepare my application and get feedback on it, until it was good enough to submit. Here, so I worked with Mark, my mentor, for about 3 months and worked through like various iterations of my application. It was quite involving, and I wanted to just share an example of it. Let's see if I get out of full screen. Um, we started from the very beginning, which was, the idea I had, what I wanted to show. It was that visualization on just reading trends. And I'd work on something, send it to him. He'd send back feedback that would be this detailed. So if it printed out with notes, I'd work through these, revisit it again, do another iteration, send it back and forth. But it felt really very beneficial to work through it at that level because it felt really really practical, as opposed to just talking about general feedback and then just implementing it later on. So I walked through this mentorship program for the 3 months and ended up applying to the data school, and I got in. So I started my data journey there toward the end of 2023. And I'm still there now for a few more months. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So most of the journey is 2024 onwards. That started with 4 months of intensive training through all things data. We also had a lot of client projects from a lot of different industries. I did quite a bit of teaching. In fact, one of my first kind of client engagements was teaching, which felt really intimidating because I was just getting into Tableau, and here was a challenge to to teach what I had learned to other people. And in the end, I realized it's actually the best way to learn. Trying to I think the true mark of having understood something is seeing if you're able to explain it to someone else who has not encountered it before. And especially trying as a teacher, trying to put yourself in the shoes of someone who doesn't know what you know. That is something that's really hard to do. So it was a great learning experience teaching what I had learned to others. Through this time, I participated a lot in community initiatives. So things like Makeover Mondays, which you've heard of, Workout Wednesdays. Um, and around just early that year, I was thinking about um, my work on the one hand, like the work I was doing with clients, but also all of the benefits I had been getting from the community. And I wanted to kind of bridge that gap a little bit because it felt a bit separate how often I went into the community for like inspiration and engaging with people, and then coming back um, to work with clients. It felt really separate. So that year, I thought to start a book club and create a space where um, we can talk about data overall. So, not tied to any specific tools. It's not really a technical space. So, it's open to people who are just interested in data. They might not have like a data specific role, but they want to talk about the role data plays in all of our lives. So for the very first session of this book club, I sent out a cold email to one of my favorite authors, Alberto Cairo. I didn't think I thought it would just be lost somewhere, but I was very surprised when he replied barely an hour later to say he'd be delighted to be part of our book club and to speak about this book he wrote recently, How Charts Lie. We ended up having just a fantastic conversation with him and with people from the company as well, the company I was working at. And this just helped create this vibrant data community there. So it was very, very rewarding to be able to kind of bridge this gap and bring in some of the some of the things I was finding really valuable in the community into my work. A bit more about just more community projects I've been doing. The Dubois Challenge is a project that happens every year. Anyone can participate. You get to redesign these visualizations from, I think it's the early 1900s. This is another of my favorite vizzes, death from natural disasters. It's a sad topic, but it was such a learning process designing it. And these two visualizations ended up actually being longlisted for the Information is Beautiful Awards, which was really encouraging that, I'm kind of doing the right thing somewhere. So I wanted to close this section with just saying I didn't get to some of these awards on my own, for example. I've had people help me a lot along the way, people give me feedback, and I wanted to just touch a bit more about my experience so far getting feedback, where I've gotten it, from who, how to do it, and like where exactly I found it really helpful. Um, I used to share most of my work on social media. So I'd create something shared on Twitter and LinkedIn. I think it's great for sharing something that's complete or final. I haven't found those kind of open social media platforms great for getting feedback. Instead, whenever I go to more like dedicated spaces, so for example, the Data Visualization Society Slack, or there's now a Tableau Slack, these channels, they'll have like feedback specific channels where you can ask for critique. And I found those kind of more intimate spaces better for getting feedback on my work. So that's something I'd recommend people check out. And then the other one I wanted to share is sometimes I just want one on one feedback, or maybe to just have a brainstorming session with someone. And these I've gotten in the form of like individual people I reach out to, or in people in the community that I admire, or through Viz Office Hours. I don't know if many of you have heard of it, but this is hosted by three people in the Tableau community. They have a schedule, actually. It's on a Tableau dashboard somewhere. But you can just show up at any point in your project. I've gone when I wanted um, to narrow down some ideas I had and got really good feedback from them on how I can kind of get to the final idea for the viz. So overall, my experience has been I get a lot more constructive and direct feedback in these smaller, intimate spaces than when I just share out, to the public on LinkedIn or on Twitter. And to wrap this up, I realize we're coming to the end of time. What am I thinking about now and kind of just moving forward? I am trying to do just a lot more writing. I realized that it's something I really enjoy. I have benefited a lot from just reading blog posts that people write on various topics. So I want to contribute to those efforts. So I have my own website where I write a lot. And also I have a lot of blogs on like the data school blog on just various things. I want to create something like I would have wanted as a beginner. What would I have liked to read at the time? What would be helpful? Something else I'm thinking about is just learning how to code and just supplement my visualizations with code, because I feel like I've hit a lot of limits when in Tableau. Sometimes I want to show something a particular way, but it's not possible. But learning JavaScript, for example, really allows you to, I suppose, go behind the scenes in Tableau and actually be able to manipulate the data to visualize it the way you want. And finally, one thing I am excited about trying over the next couple of years is more collaborative projects. So just being able to bring more than one brain into a particular project and seeing where it goes. Okay, I am going to close with that. I know that we've had some technical challenges, so I'm going to stay for like 5 more minutes and to answer any questions that might have come up.
Yeah, I think, thank you so much, first of all. But I think one question I'll ask is please tell us what your website is.
Oh, my
We would,
website.
yeah, we would love to share it with the community.
It is called, it is called, let me share a link in the chat. It is called Wilding in Progress. Let me put
Such an interesting name.
sorry, say it again.
Such an interesting name.
Yeah, do you want to know why I called it that?
Please,
Yes,
why?
please.
Um, it was inspired from I was just taking a walk during that my year of 2023, and it was along the canal in London, and there was a sign on the side that just said "Wilding in Progress," and it meant that the area had been left to grow again, so you shouldn't to like become wild again, so you shouldn't step on the new grass and the wildflowers. And I felt like it really encapsulated that year because I spent most of the year trying to like unlearn bad habits from school and like ignoring my own interests and my own wants. And it felt like a journey in like becoming wild again. So I thought it'd be a fun name.
It's
No,
such a
I
cool
like
name.
it.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I know, right? Oh man, that's okay. I've enjoyed your session so much. I think it adds more context to your profile for me because I went through your visualizations with such keen detail. But I think my one question, at least before you go, and if
Mhm.
there's any person in the chat who has a question, just go for it before time runs out. But my question would be when it comes to actually being employable in the Tableau context of things,
Mhm.
what are like some of the things you encourage someone to do? Like maybe top three best practices when it comes to your profile, your portfolio, to really boost your chances of being spotted by a client or a prospective client anyway, or a
Yeah.
prospective employer.
I think I feel like this has been echoed a lot, but maybe it adds to it goes beyond just having a portfolio, right? Um, I have found that writing about the specific projects gives you an opportunity to share what the problem was, first of all, that you're trying to solve, like long before you get to the final output, which is the Tableau dashboard. So clients want to hear that you can go from the problem statement to the solution. And overall, at least in my experience, the solution is not always a dashboard. Sometimes the clients just wants to know something, or the solution ends up being a kind of a system change, or the solution ends up being a SQL query that you write somewhere. It might not be a flashy dashboard. So just knowing how to go from problem to the solution that solves a problem, even if it's not a dashboard shaped solution, I'd say that's the key one. um and this is again related to having like going beyond having the portfolio is like marketing yourself. It feels very cringe for me to post on LinkedIn. I think it feels the same for most people, but you have to get over the cringe, because if you think about it, if you if you're doing great work and you have a fantastic Tableau portfolio somewhere, people are not magically going to find it, like people who don't know about it. So you've got to say, this week I created this, and this is why I'm excited about it. This is why I'm sharing. This is why I think you should read it. So just, yeah, being your own kind of biggest marketer, I'd say is key.
Okay. Ooh, we have one question from the chat, and then
They're actually two. Sorry.
I think I'll answer Bradley's question after you leave because I think
About the
we can
data.
talk
Okay.
more. Yeah, so you could take Ted's question.
Okay. The question from Ted is: would love to voice the question and comments. However, if not possible, how do you keep up? How do you keep the creativity and functionality of your dashboards relevant with the different industries you've worked with? That is, how do you communicate the data visualized creative but still relevant to your domain?
Oh, that's a big
That's a
question.
good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how do you keep the creativity and functionality of your dashboards relevant? Um, the first thing I'll say is I think that I've shared a lot about personal projects, which I feel like is a great avenue to push yourself and to do new things that you don't even know might become useful at some point in a client project. And it's true that I think the reality of most client projects is you're going to create tables or you're going to create something that feels a bit more basic, feels like bar charts and pie charts. But there's the occasional opportunity to, for example, so right now I work a lot in like customer behavior analysis, so website analytics. And there've been scenarios where I need to do something new, but because I tried it once for something slightly different for a personal project, now I have some background and I can, create like a Sankey chart because I created something similar elsewhere. I think that overall clients actually don't mind having a lot of like creative projects on your profile because it demonstrates other things besides your technical skills. It demonstrates kind of self-motivation and that ability to go from the beginning to an end of a project kind of without giving up. um, so the last thing I would add to this is something I'm trying to do more of, which is using the client projects that I'm doing at the moment to motivate what are the projects I do personally. So um, if I'm working on website analytics, for example, finding some other data on that topic because I can't share my client's project, finding some other data on the same topic and um, trying to push the boundaries of what I can do at work. Because with Tableau Public, there's just a bit more freedom because your audience is imagined. And then when you do that, it allows you to showcase expertise in data viz, but in a particular industry because you have an example for it. And I'd say for this one, um, of the community projects, there's one called Real World Fake Data, RWFD, that I think is fantastic with that because you just pick an industry, you get a clean data set, and then you can add to your portfolio. So I'd say have a bit of both, the like business ones and the creative ones as well.
Amazing. Okay, yeah, you said thank you in the comments as well.
I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, Faith. In
Of
case you
course.
dropped off, we really, really appreciated having you, and I hope you come back in the next few
I'll
months if you have some time.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thanks again, Mary and Tony.
Yeah, bye bye. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
I mean, I will start by saying that we are trying out different time slots before we figure out a time that works for most people. So we're like, let's try a weekday. Let's see if after work would be a good time. So if the turnout doesn't look as great, it's because yeah, we'll try weekends, weekdays, different days of the week, different times of the week until we find a slot where we could have the most turnout. But hey, even if a few people join, I think it's still okay if we're able to convey some of these things to a smaller group of people and it has a bigger impact for the people who have joined. I think it's okay. Plus, the recording will always be available. You can always watch it back and then reach out to me and Tony if you have any questions. Okay. So we met Faith and it was amazing. Enjoyed her session. And we'll talk a bit about her and her profile a bit later on. So you know a bit more about her, adding on to what she's talked about in her presentation. Okay, so I think I'll start by talking about how I got into Tableau and how I got to a point of meeting Tony and starting this group. For me, I think I had a point when I felt like I really wanted to do a certification and get more specialized in a specific tool in data. I knew a little bit of everything and I felt like I wanted to have a specific tool that I knew exceptionally well. And so I had worked with Tableau in 2019 when I was in school, and we just brushed up on it. We learned the basics, and then that was it. But then I used it in my first interview to create the case study, and I ended up getting the job. So once I joined the job, we switched to Power BI, and I didn't use Tableau again for a few years. So when I wanted to get into certifications, I thought, okay, I enjoyed Tableau and I did use it a few years ago. Let me get to the Tableau certification. So for me, the certification was the first step. I actually set the exam date a few months ahead, and then I was like, I'll just focus in and lock in and try and learn as much as I can on Tableau to a point where I can pass the certification. I think I scheduled it like maybe 4 months ahead of time. So at that point, I got into a lot of different things. I first of all enrolled in a course The specific one I enrolled for was on Udemy, and I really, really enjoyed it to a point where I thought, okay, I'm building out visuals. Let me try and see how I can get feedback on what I'm building. Is it good enough? What are other people doing? Because I think when you are at beginner level of building out visuals, you kind of just deal with the very basics of things, how to build a bar chart, a pie chart, a line chart, and then you just place it all onto one single page. But then I think as you progress, you try and tell a story. What do you want them to see? It doesn't have to be as limited as it is in the beginning, where it's just chat, 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 chat. They'll know what to do with this. I think as you go on, you want to actually pick out the bit of the story that you want to tell and then visually share that outwards. So I think Tableau really helped me build up that skill to a point where I met Tony. We met on LinkedIn and we had a conversation because he saw something that I had been doing, and I had been posting my Tableau um, visuals on LinkedIn, just like Faith said. It's cringe, but just share your work out there and hope that the right people see it. And so we got into talking and sharing our different interests in the tool and data. And we thought, let's have a call. We did. And then we set a goal. Let's start a user group. And I think months after that conversation, it actually came to be. And I think that's why I put this quote here from some random guy on Twitter. The community you've been searching for is actually the one you've been called to build. So I think through this platform, at least my goal in the next few months, and I think Tony's as well, is to get people on board to see how beneficial this community can be when it comes to skills building, networking, and actual improvements in your skills. So we're just going to talk about the different ways that Tableau does that for you. And like I've said, training and certification is one way. That's how I got into it. So I specifically was trying to do the analyst certification path, and I found it to be really, really enjoyable. But you could definitely try and pursue any other certification. It's quite pricey, but I think the benefit outweighs the cost, in my opinion. Is it necessary? I don't think it is. I think just being able to use the tool and having your portfolio, I think would be enough. But we'll also talk about that. So one good thing about Tableau is it has free training sessions, and I'll share all the links after this. But you could get on their platform and you'll find a whole curriculum of content that's been curated. So you could learn based on the topic you're interested in. You could join someone's webinar, someone's talk, and just listen into what they talked about. All this is free and accessible to you. You just have to get on their platform and explore up until you get to a point where you find what it is you're looking for. They also do have learning paths. So based on the certification that you get, you can find free classes for it. And then now doing the certificate is what you would have to pay for. Okay. Community projects provide an incredible platform for everyone to practice, experiment their skills in their area of interest, which I think adds on to something that Faith said. So Tableau has so many different projects that happen over time. And I think this will also answer Bradley's question on where do you get the data to do some of these things. There are multiple challenges that run week on week, and you could ideally join any. They're open to the public, and you could join based on your interest as well. So if you're into sports, you can join Sports Viz Sunday and see all the different data sets that they have on the topic that you're interested in, and then just try it out for yourself. So the basic concept here is they share a data set. Some are weekly, some are every 2 weeks, some are monthly. And one data set, every single person gets the chance to visualize it how they would prefer to do so. And then it's shared out in the public, and you kind of get to see what other people are doing, how they're thinking through things. for inspiration, for motivation, and even for like learning skills you didn't know. For example, Faith talked about how she wanted to visualize sunshine hours and she used a radial chart. Maybe that's something you don't know how to build out, but you can download her, her workbook, kind of work in reverse and see how she did what she did, and then you learn through that. So I personally am a huge advocate of Makeover Mondays, Workout Wednesdays, and have I done any other? No, I think I've only limited myself to these two, but oh, and she did mention real world fake data as well. They have challenges too, and they have data sets to share as well. Yeah, I think I'll pause there. I think, Tony, any thoughts on community projects, on certification? How did you get into Tableau?
Um, Thanks, Mary. I think mine was totally different from yours. I think,
Okay.
for lack of a better term, I stumbled on Tableau. I was one of those guys. I was Team Power BI. You see these Power BI and Tableau memes? There's so many. So I was one of those guys. So I think I encountered Tableau the first time in my journey during Moringa. We were taught, well, I wouldn't call it being taught. We were introduced to it and asked to build a few dashboards here and there. But then I recall during our class, our guys were told to choose either Tableau or Power BI because initially, during my first job as an analyst, I used Power BI, and I really loved it. The powers it had and all that, the viz it would. Um, I know Mary doesn't love Power BI, sorry, but then that is then. uh, so later onwards, my other job, I was using Locus Studio. I didn't love it. Then my current role, where I use Tableau on a daily, is where I really came to understand of the power Tableau has. And to date, I still choose Tableau over everything else because Tableau is really powerful and it can do a lot. I can say I've scratched just the surface of it, despite using it on a daily basis. I get into Tableau public, look at what guys are doing, and I'm like, oh, it's amazing out there, guys. So for me, I believe I'm a real definition of learning on the job because I had to discover things on my own, build dashboards in Tableau. At first, I was like, nah, but as I got to do it, as I came to discover its power, uh, now you'll wake me from sleep and I tell you Tableau is really powerful. I've gotten to love it. I enjoy using it on a daily. So, and the moment we I came across the community, and thank God, the Kenya Tug was also accepted. I would also want to allow guys to learn about Tableau because there's so much out there. Because one of the few things that I admire what people do is you see how people ask, where can I host my portfolio? I think Tableau Public is one of the easiest free ways to do that. You can show your views, you can show how you did it, who you are, and all that. And as we proceed on that, I think we'll talk more into it. So, um, maybe you can talk about the Slack channel.
Okay. Okay. Yes, I think Faith also mentioned it that you can work on a project, share it on your profile, and want some feedback. And sometimes you want feedback in terms of what could I improve, and it's because it's not final yet. So there are dedicated spaces where you could do that. For example, there's a Tableau Slack channel, and there is a Slack Tableau Slack, and then there's a channel called Community Viz Feedback, where you share your visualization. Sorry, I pressed something, and then there are members of the community who will literally walk with you step by step through your dashboard, mentioning what did you do here? Okay, you could have done this instead. This is what I would recommend you improve. or they ask questions to better understand what it is you were trying to do. It helps. It really does give you perspective on how people look at your work. Um, and also in the case of like something you hadn't thought of, it really does give you perspective on what could be done. So I would recommend it, and we'll share the Slack channel link after this as well if you want to get into it. Explore, see what other people are doing. There's a job board in case you're looking for employment. You could explore and see who's hiring. There is community share as well. There are people who love to share different random things, blog posts, books, events. You could get into all of these things and see what everyone in the community is sharing. Then the next thing that I would recommend you explore is user groups. This is a user group that you joined today, but there's so many groups all over the world and they're open to the public. And I think this is one of the beauties of this tool, that they're dedicated forums that you could join based on your interest and based on your location as well to try and learn from others. So I wish I had the time to change this because I would have wanted you to see the Europe, Middle East, and Africa specific groups. But based on your interest, you could join any, and you could join a session just like this one based on the different time slots they've set. If you're interested in finance, there's a finance specific user group. If you're interested in healthcare, there's a healthcare specific group. Sports. If you're interested in, LGBTQ specific topics, there's a group for that as well. And I've joined the sessions. It's actually really, really interesting work they do. If you're interested in what people in Lagos are doing, you could join one of their sessions. People in London are doing, you could join the UK specific sessions. So I would definitely encourage you. Just we'll share the link as well. So get on the link, explore the different groups out there. If you're a woman in data, there's groups specific for that as well. And just see what other people are doing out there. I mean, I'll be a bit biased and say I'm glad you're in our user group, but feel free to explore. And if you find interesting topics out there, I think you'll have more value to bring back to us when you do join our sessions. For 2025, we had speaker sessions as the major thing we're focusing on, but I think in the coming year, we'll have lots of other interactive ways for our community to mix and gel. So yeah, definitely encourage you to explore all the other user groups out there. Also,
Also,
sorry, please go.
sorry about posting because I think it's something I struggle with. What Mary said about post your visualizations, what you've done, let people comment. There's a saying that I love that says, it says what? Your content isn't too much. People aren't just used to confidence. Post it anyway. So, because if
That's a
you
good
don't,
one.
someone less qualified will do that, and people will advise, critique, and all that. And through that, I think you learn more. So you
True,
guys just
true.
have it's a learning curve, a bittersweet, a lovely learning curve. I'll say.
Yeah, true. And you can't learn in isolation. You have to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I think adding on the user groups aspect, most of the sessions are recorded and saved to this YouTube page. We'll all share the link after this. So in case you want to see some of the previous sessions, including ours, on different topics, you can always explore at your own time. And then now I think we'll talk about the Tableau profile. And I'm sure for this one, Tony and I will go back and forth. I think actually I'll stop sharing and he'll share his screen at some point. But I got this quote from Andy Clearbell, he's a really, really amazing visionary on Tableau. I think he started using Tableau in like 2000 and before 2010. He's been using it since its genesis up until now, and he teaches on his own platform at this point. But he does a few free classes every now and then. And he said creating a Tableau profile had a direct link to him getting jobs at Facebook and the Information Lab, which is where Faith was involved in. Without Tableau Public, I'm sure it wouldn't have been noticed. So that comes to us talking about having a public and having a portfolio. I think we had to spotlight a few people, and I'll switch over to Tableau Public so that we can just take a look at their profiles. But Tableau Public is free, quick sign up, and every time you create a visual on Tableau, there will always be something at the top of the tab section, where you can send over to Tableau Public. And over time, I think, depending on how you'd like your portfolio to look, you could have as many visualizations as you can. Every time you try something, you push it to Tableau Public, or you could curate your platform to a point where your best visuals are what you'd like other people to see. So show employers your skills with an interactive resume. Use your profile to your advantage. Show people what you can do. Show people how you think. Show people your creative side, which is one of the questions that was asked. But definitely have anything you want on your profile. It can be business specific if you want to show them that you understand how to analyze business specific data sets, or you could just do something that you find fun, like faith, explore back days, explore sunshine hours in different locations, explore reading habits. It could be anything. I think all in all, it all shows your skills, whether it's a fun topic or a business oriented topic. So I'd love Faith's profile. I'll also show you Timothy's profile. Timothy joined us, I think, 2 sessions ago. Both Kenyans and both really amazing at what they do. Okay. So Faith has different assortments in her profile. I think she has 39 visualizations, and some are business oriented, like this superstore profit analysis, and some are fun and creative, and she was curious on a topic and explored it further. So it could be a mix of both. I will show you my personal favorite because I've looked at her profile before, which is this, the sunshine hours across the world. Just the creativity personally, I was like, oh, but it's ideally a mix of radio bar charts that show just how much sun each of the continents get based on the different locations in that continent. So, like in Africa, Egypt gets the most hours of sunshine, or in South America, Chile, I hope or in Asia, Dubai gets the most, just based on the color scheme, you would know least versus most. And just how interactive it can get is what's the best chart for me. Could filter by continent. Okay, let's see in Africa only. So we see different locations based on how much sunshine they get over the seasons.
Sorry guys, I think Mary has an issue with the internet. Before she comes, I think guys I can show you her profile. I also think her Tableau public profile is really nice. So let me just share my screen and show you about that before she comes. She wasn't for the idea, but I think I can do that. So I'll think I'll drop this link. All these links will drop it in the chat. But as you can see, this is a profile. She's called Mary Kenya. She has really cool visualizations. One of my favorite one was one she did about Asha. I looked at this and I was blown away because the creativity involved, the background, how she visualizes the different songs by Asha. So if you love songs and you listen to, is it R&B? I believe so. The visualizing 342 tracks across 11 albums. So you can play around and see how she did this. Because if you look at Homecoming album expansion edition, you can sort it based on the release date and the popularity. So as you can see, she really did a very good job. If you come here, based on the popularity and the different tiers, it has all that information. The first time I saw this dashboard, I was like, can you really do this in Tableau? Because I think, I'm not sure they should back because this involves some canvas and all that. So let me ambush her. I'm not sure that she's back on call, but another dashboard that I loved has was Mary's library. If you can look at this, there's so much. Hi, Mary. Are you back?
I'm back. Sorry. You can hear
I
me?
think I'm just showing guys. Yes, we can. Two of my favorite visuals that you did. So I was telling them about the Asha one, and these are the one about your library. These two are my favorite. The depth and the creativity that you took in creating these. As you can see, these it tells you on each bookshelf the different book, the rating, the year published, the genre, how many pages, and so on. So it's amazing. So if you're starting your journey, one thing I'll do about this is download this particular dashboard and do they call it a reverse engineering and trying to understand how she did the different cards, the different calculated fields, and so on. So I was telling them about this. I'm curious, what inspired you? I want to tell us about this dashboard you did sometimes back.
The Asha one.
Yes.
It's interesting because I had seen someone else on Tableau Public that had done a similar one, but theirs was for an artist I don't remember the name of, but it was like those old American classic type people, like Elvis Presley type.
Mhm.
But then I thought, okay, I have artists that I really, really like, and let me see if I can replicate and do my own version. Then I
Mhm.
thought, okay, I need to find an artist with multiple albums so that we can compare how it got over time. And then I thought, okay, Asha Raymond is a really good idea. So I got on Spotify. I used the API to like get the data at that point in time.
Mhm.
So I got static data. I didn't like link the API and every time you refresh this, it refreshes. No, no, no. I just got Asha specific data, like based on popularity score. And did I do any other scores? Like different scores you can get on the Spotify API, like how it sounds, similar types of songs, and like how loud it is, blah, blah, blah. But I just wanted to see how popular his songs are over time. So I got all the different songs across all the different albums and I tried to figure out how to like tell that story. But it was also good because I was able to practice different types of charts. Like that, um, it's called a dendrogram, where like when you switch over albums, like if you click on a different album color, it will switch the visual and it will switch the dendrogram. So it's interactive like that. Like if you click on that, it might take a quick lag, but then you'll see the album cover change and then you'll see the lists of songs in that album. And you'll see the most popular one and the least popular one. And I liked how interactive it was over time. Like you could tell that over time his music got good, but popularity wise, people love the classics way more than what he's putting out right now. So I don't
Also
know.
the
It was just one of
aspect
those
of
fun projects.
also the aspect of you embedding the YouTube link. This is so nice.
So cool, right? Like if you're like, what song is this? You just click on the link and it takes you to YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that part I was inspired by Zainab actually. And I think, have you talked about her yet? When
Not
I
yet. I
interrupted?
decided to
Okay,
come and
nice.
show
I've
you as
given you a
first.
good segue.
Because I
But
really loved things on.
yeah, but she gave me the idea of like a way to embed a link so that when you click on it, it directs you to what you want the person to see.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So guys, I think I'll drop the link to this. You can explore, try recreating it, and see how it comes. You can actually do that. Post it on your LinkedIn, tag us, we'll do a shout out and all that. Mary, what do you think? Can we take questions? I see there are quite a few.
Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry, guys, I am in a car watching all of you guys doing fantastic things. First of all, let me just shout out all of you. I've been observing some of the things that you guys have been doing, especially within the Tableau groups. And I just want to say big shout out to uh, both of you and the visualizations that you guys have made. Um, it's very interesting. When you had mentioned the fact that you were at Moringa and you're told Power BI and Tableau was not even a thought at the time. And then when you get to Tableau, I think the first thing that you get to interact with is the Superstore data set, and you have to start building from there. Um, I have been a big fan of Tableau, and I've been a big fan also of your work, all of you. Very Journey, Faith. I think when I started seeing Kenyans doing Tableau visualizations, because I was so embedded in seeing, West Africans or South Africans and Europeans just doing all these things. I was just like, why don't we do this in Kenya? So pretty excited to see how you guys have been able to evolve and even create like a whole user group for Tableau. I've dropped a couple of questions in terms of what do you guys see it coming to fruition in terms of the Kenya group. And I saw Mary's visualizations and it reminded me of an Italian designer called Federica Fragapane. She has really interesting visualizations that always remind me of her. And Tony, yours remind me of somebody called, I don't know if it's Damiola, uh, but yeah, he's. I think I'll just share the link via LinkedIn so that you can see what I'm talking about because there are a lot of similarities. But mine is just to say you guys are doing an amazing job. Um, and please just keep up the good work. It's very inspiring, especially for somebody who's pivoted from data to cybersecurity. So looking at it and also looking at how then can I be able to visualize all this data is quite inspiring. So you guys keep doing what you're doing. Really looking forward to seeing the previous recordings. I know I signed up for the previous talk, but I wasn't able to attend because, as we can see, KPLC has done the thing. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But you guys are doing an amazing job. I don't see much from there, but yeah, keep up the good work.
Oh gosh, thank you. That has made my whole day.
Thank you
Gosh,
very much.
yeah,
You rarely know people are watching what you're doing, right, Kenya?
yeah, honestly. Thank you so much. Where do we envision the group in a few months? I think we're full of ideas. Like we have a page, a Notion page, Tony and I, and we like keep track of all the ideas we have and all the speakers we want to bring because just like you've said, we see a lot of work from people outside of Kenya. And it's like, why can't we do this as well? There are talents in our community, but let's just say they're not platforming themselves, or maybe we are not exposed to them to a point where we see what they're doing. So we thought, let's create a platform, get Kenyans in, see what they're doing, expose them to what other people are doing, to give them the confidence to start sharing. Because I don't think we don't believe Kenyans don't have this sort of creative aspects to their visuals. I just think we need to create a platform where they feel comfortable sharing because we do know. I personally was in the first Moringa class, cohort one. I think right now it's cohort. I don't even know. And at the time, we only learned Tableau. There wasn't even a Power BI option. So I know there's a huge number of people out there who know how to use Tableau and maybe do use it on a day-to-day basis, but just don't know that there's a community where you can platform your work, share your work, and learn from others as well. So long story short, what I envision is have more technical sessions because I think for now we've been focusing on speaker events, just sharing Kenyan talent. But I think in the future months, we Also, we're trying to figure out a time slot. Like this is hard. Like where is at what point in the day, in the week, can we have the most amount of people join? So we've been trying to figure that out with the speaker events. And I think in the coming months, it would be good to have more technical sessions where build out dashboards with other people, or join a session where someone builds from scratch. Also have in sessions where we could all meet, hang out, have a drink, make some friends, and then also expose people to the different aspects of the community, like we're doing right now, to a point where they can participate without us. So there are different challenges, like what Faith mentioned, Information is Beautiful Awards. There's the Iron Biz Awards that I think is happening right now. There's the conferences. So just expose people to a point where they get involved, to a point where we can feel the Kenyan presence in this Tableau space. So the goal goes beyond us. It's just us creating an avenue for people to explore further. That's my goal. And I know Tony has a few other things.
Um, Actually, for me, fun fact is like 2 months ago, at my current workplace, we were looking for a junior analyst, and I thought of someone I'll recommend, and honestly, no one came in mind. And for me, I sat down and I was like, the same happens elsewhere. There is an amazing opening. Nowadays, it's all about recommendations, right? So I reached out to someone who had joined mm, the past few sessions we had, but unfortunately for him, he was yet to graduate. So that was unfortunate. So one of the things I want this community to do is in these meetups, we will meet so much good talent, and it is through us interacting, through us knowing each other, that I'll hear of an opportunity somewhere and I'll be like, hi Ted, there's
Yeah.
this and that. What do you think about it? Are you willing? Because I think I was telling this to Mary sometimes back. Looking in the Kenya space, the data community is not that much, apart from a few here and there that I believe some of us are in. There is no a data community that is strong enough for people to join and benefit. So I think with Tableau, this two chapter that we're having, that is one of the goals we want to. We'll be having these virtual events, but we plan next year to have a couple of in-person meetups where we can meet, chat, know each other, do some practicals, all that.
Um,
So I believe that's the goal.
Go us. Yay. Okay.
Any other question before we take what's on the chat? Yes, Kimati, please, you can unmute and talk.
Uh, so hi everyone. Yeah. So as the name is on the screen, my name is Pius Kemaldi. I'll say I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to because I think when I saw the news of this group being created, it was at the time when I wanted to come back and continue building on Tableau, because when I landed a role that's around a year back, so that's around August last year. We worked heavily on Power BI, and so more like a year before then, I was heavy on Tableau. Let's say I was learning it continuously, and then it reached a point, and then now I have to switch over to Power BI. So ideally, building visuals is something I really appreciate, and I think if we are the way I mean we as we are here, we know how like Tableau is so versatile, and it's so versatile, and at the same time easy to implement some things. Though arguably that would take quite some effort to do on Power BI. So yeah, I really appreciate this community, and I think it's also a challenge for me to now get in the get into building and grow and become. I really do love the visualization part of data. I think it's the thing that actually inspired me to now be in data. I mean, the end result of a visual is something that takes so much creative effort that you just get so occupied when now the process of coming up with the final product. Yeah, so I'm hoping to continue building with you. Yeah, and I really appreciate the effort you guys are putting.
Okay.
Thank you. And I hope you join us in the future sessions.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I was in the first session, missed the second one, and now I'm back. Although I've joined quite late.
Oh no, it's okay. At least the recording is there in case you want
Yeah,
to go back.
yeah, definitely.
Oh yay. I feel so happy. I think we should do sessions like this all the time where everyone is, can speak and share.
I think
Should
we
we
have a
like
few
pick one more?
questions in the chat.
Pick
The
some more
first
questions
question,
and yeah.
which I think I've partially answered, it's from Ted. The question was where guys can find the recordings. He especially wants to watch the last session with Agatha. So I think we'll
I
drop a
see.
link to that. There's a YouTube channel, Data Farm YouTube channel, where all these recording for past sessions can be found.
Yeah, I think I have all the links. Should I share them in the chat?
Yes, please.
Okay, amazing.
The other question is from Ted also. Will there be an opening, so possibility to do a local chapter visualization session if possible, that is being taken through how to build a dashboard together on the platform? Yes, this we will do because we did a poll some times back. One of the most sought after topic was data storytelling. And I think come next year, because well, we're breaking for the Christmas festivities,
Yeah,
we'll definitely do this. I think maybe even on one of the in-person sessions can be a very good thing to do such as heighted. If you have a question,
Sorry, lights just came back, so
yeah.
can be able to can be able to see who I am and all that. I think maybe just to clarify on the question that I had asked in terms
Please.
of just having local Tableau user groups and if we can be able to just meet in person and everything. I think so for somebody like me who has a public profile and I have experiences within data science, data analytics,
Mm-hmm.
business analytics, and
Mm-hmm.
then growing on this other field, I think
yeah,
it would be decent or prudent enough to know, regardless of whatever field you are in, because I know visualizations, especially with data storytelling, like you mentioned, you said that, and that my brain literally just yes, yes, and yes, because data storytelling goes across the board in terms of not only just as data analysts or data scientists or data visualization specialists, but also you're looking at C-level interactions because these are some of the things that get executives or even recruiters or whatever, not whatever, but high level executives or C-level executives going. Because once you can be able to, um, what can I say? I don't want to say compress, but if you can be able to tell a story just with visualizations, it's more memorable. And I think there's storytelling with data by what's her name? There's a book, Storytelling with Data, that
yeah.
talks about a lot of things that you guys are talking about. So maybe we can even have like I don't want to say a book club, but a viz club where we can go through uh, certain publications, yes, that's the word, publications that talk about how do we actually use the standards that not only around the world, but we can also tailor make it to our audience or the people who we interact with day to day. I feel like it would be fantastic because I feel like you guys have it embedded within your visualizations, and it would be prudent, especially for people who are just leaving either university or high school and want to find out how can we be able to break through this field. For somebody might be very analytical, but also very creative in knowing how to present this data in such a way that it not only communicates or not only it being functional, but also eye catching. And at the same time, as much as it's eye catching, it's also communicating the story in depth. So that was the thinking behind, will we have local chapters? Will we have places where we can have some of these things happening? Could we have like from scratch to this session? This is what we want to do. For example, the after dashboard. You find somebody who loves music and would want to get into music data analysis, and we're like, okay, we're looking at the best artists in Kenya. So how then can we be able to, tailor make and say, oh yeah, BN made Enemies of Suffering and this and that. Then, somebody like him would be like, oh wow, this is fantastic. So it also brings
Yeah.
the analytical aspect of things and the background to the forefront. Sorry, Amayapa. Let me just stop here.
No, it's okay.
Just so excited to be here, to be honest.
Oh no, thank you. I actually followed you on LinkedIn, so we will take this offline. I'll follow up. I'd love to see if we can do something in the next 3 months as well.
We're looking forward to it.
This is the final summary, and I've shared all the links in the chat. So ways to get involved, the free training sessions and webinars that I mentioned on the Tableau profile, the link is there. Get involved in some community projects. There was a point I was very consistent with Makeover Monday, and it was very, very fulfilling actually to get the project done before the next week. Maybe in the coming year I'll get back into trying the challenges so that we can all get into it together. But the link is there as well. Try and explore, see if you find a challenge based on your interest. They have data sets. In case all you're looking for is data sets, you could also explore the link and see if you find one that's relevant for you. Join user groups. The link is there. Explore, see what everyone out there is doing. Try join a session. For example, last week we had the lead of the Poland user group. Her name is Agatha, and she invited us to an event that they're having early December called the Tableau Christmas Battle, I think. And I personally will join it. I think I'll share that on my LinkedIn in case anyone else wants to join, but it sounded really fun. And I think they're going to be like battling in some sort of way. And then the fourth one is create a Tableau public profile. Just start it. One of the things that a previous speaker said is the first few visuals will be ugly, will be fugly, like it's fine, just share. Start with a piece of paper, sketch what you want to do, try and bring it to life on Tableau, and share. Actually, I think if you do feel it's fugly and you share it and you get some feedback based on like the dedicated channels we shared, like Slack, it will get better over time the more you practice. So just start. And then the last thing is get active on socials. Join the Slack channel, I'll share the link, and follow our user group on LinkedIn. That's where we post updates. And I think that's it, right? I think this was answered with what we're trying to achieve. And yeah, thank you for joining the session. I think we might have an end of year session in December, just to wrap up everything we've done in the past few months. So please join us when the time comes. And yeah, that's it from me.